Hi, my name is Anthony Adams. I am the Director of Fine Arts at South Piedmont. I wanted to record this video for my classes, as well as for the other studio art teachers to share with their students. I think that this is a really cool resource, and it's completely free, and you can use it on your own at home to edit your artwork, your photos of your artwork, so that when you're submitting work to Moodle this semester, you're able to submit work that really shows off the quality of your work, and also that it's professional. And of course you can use this software to build your portfolios or to put on websites. It's really, really useful, and again, it's free. Now, this is the website here, GIMP.org. You can learn more about the website if you want to learn about their history. GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program, and it is a free and open source image editor. It's very much like Photoshop, maybe like kind of an older version of Photoshop, I would say, but it does all the things we need it to do. So if you've never used it before, visit GIMP.org and you can download the software. Now, I've already downloaded it, and as you can see, I actually have some images already open. To open an image, I want to make sure I show you guys how to do that. To open an image, you just go to File, and then you go to Open, and you select the image that you want to open. Certain files will not open, like JPEG's always open, so as long as you're taking photos with your camera or your phone in JPEG format, it should open just fine. And I'm going to hit Open, okay, and then there's another image to edit. Now I'm going to walk you through editing several images, and I apologize if I go kind of fast. I can only record on this for 15 minutes, so I want to make sure I get through everything. And again, of course, you can pause and rewind and rewatch as much as you want. But I'm just going to kind of go through it multiple times so you'll get review. And also show you what to do in certain situations. This one's pretty simple. This is a painting that needs to be flipped, cropped, straightened, and have its levels adjusted. So we'll do that together here in a minute. The other ones I'm going to show are going to be, we might even start with this one. This one here is a painting that just needs to be cropped, straightened, and levels adjusted. This one also needs to be flipped, cropped, straightened, levels adjusted. This one here will be a little bit more challenging because it's a weird shape. So I want to make sure I show you guys how to deal with like weird shapes. And then I'll of course do some 3D pieces as well, so you guys get an idea of how to edit 3D work. Let's start with this one. This one needs the least done to it. It's already facing the right direction. It just needs to be cropped, straightened, and have the levels adjusted. So the first thing I'm going to do is straighten it. The tool you're going to want to use to straighten is this perspective tool right here. So you can go ahead and click that. Before you actually do anything with it, though, you want to make sure you have a guide. To create a guide, it's really, really simple. You just go up here to these rulers, and you're just going to click and drag down a guide from the ruler. And what I'm going to do is just essentially touch the corners, like the bigger corner of each side. And this is going to be my guide to make sure I fix the perspective correctly. Oops, sorry about that one. If you get one you don't want, you can always drag it right back where it belongs. And this side's pretty straight, so we'll just put that right there. So now that I have my guides out to help me, and I still have my perspective tool selected, I can just click the picture. I'm going to kind of click near the corner here, and kind of drag it up to the correct corner. So I'm just clicking and dragging. This actually works really easy. It's almost easier than Photoshop's perspective crop. So I'm just essentially kind of stretching, but what you're really doing is warping the picture to correct the accidental warpage that happened when you took the photo. And that's it. Like, I think it's done. Like, this one's easy. Once it's done, you can then crop the picture. To do that, you're going to use the crop tool. I'm going to click that. When you click this, what's going to happen is it's going to finalize that perspective transformation. So I forgot to hit enter, I think, so it's just going to do it for me, and that's awesome. Now with the crop tool, this one's again really easy. You're just going to click, you have your guides too that can help you, but you're just going to click from corner to corner and drag it out. Really, really simple. Hit enter, and now it's cropped. So we've now straightened and cropped it just using two tools. Very, very simple. Now we need to fix the levels. It doesn't need a ton of adjustment, but it definitely is a little washed out. And this sometimes happens when you take photos, especially if you don't take them outside in good light. You'll notice if you take them inside in like daylight and like light from your house, that they'll definitely need to be adjusted. The best light to take photos in is outside in daylight on an overcast day. And if you can't do it on an overcast day, doing it in the shade, like a solid shade of a sunny day works. Okay, so now you're just going to go to let's see, colors. Even though it's called colors, like we're not really gonna mess with the colors, but we're gonna go colors and then levels. Now you could also play with the brightness and the contrast, but I like using levels because it's kind of a one-stop shop. Now, when you're adjusting your photos, it's really important that you remember that you're just trying to make it look like the original. You're not trying to make it look better than the original, right? We want a one-to-one. We want a true representation of what it really looks like. So just be aware of that. One thing when you do levels, you'll see this little graph here. I always drag my arrows until that graph starts. Think of that as like information, and there's no information here, so you don't need this little thing to be way over there. I'm going to move this one as well to where the information starts. And then this little middle guide, this is the one you have to do intuitively. Once you have the graph set up the way it should be, where it's starting at both sides of the information, then you move this middle one until you feel like it matches what your artwork looks like. That's a little too dark. Probably about there, I think is right. Then you hit OK. We'll finalize those changes, and then you just need to save it. To save it as a JPEG, you have to export it. Because if you try to save it, just hit save. It's going to save it as like a GNU, like a GIMP file. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to go export as. This is really simple. You just give it a title up here. So I'm just going to go test 1, and then select file type, and you just scroll down until you find JPEG. You could also save it as a PNG, as a Photoshop image. You could save it as a TIFF image. A PDF probably is in here too somewhere. But I'm going to recommend you guys save them as JPEGs. And then you just hit export. And export. Now, one thing you might want to check is the quality. 98 is pretty good. I'm just always going to bump it up to 100. Like, I want my work to be saved at the highest quality. And then I'm going to hit export. Okay, it's that simple. It's done. Now, when you go to save this, like, you might want to give it a second to make sure it saves. But when you're done and you're ready to close this, it's probably going to tell you, oh, are you sure you don't want to save the image? And you have to remember you already did save the image, but because you gave it a new name, and you saved it as a JPEG, it's asking you if you want to save this GIMP file. And you can just hit discard changes. Should be fine. Now you can also hit cancel and wait if you're not sure if it's finished saving, but I'm going to hit discard changes. I think it's fine. And we can double check file, open, and here's my test. Open it. Yep, and it saved just fine. Right, so you should be able to, no problem, just hit discard changes at that point. Alright, let's do another one, and I'm going to go a little faster with it. So again, we want to fix the perspective and the crop, but this one also needs to be straightened, or flipped. So to do that, I'm going to go to Image, Transform. Here you can flip it vertically, rotate if it's counterclockwise or clockwise. This needs to be rotated clockwise. And now it's all the same steps. First the perspective tool. And I'm just going to drag out my guides. And now I'm just going to gently manipulate that perspective. Great. Now I'm going to crop. Oops. Click and drag. And I'm going to adjust my levels, colors, levels. Again, I'm going to kind of bring this into where there's information. And then use my best judgment here in the middle. And again, you're trying to match what it looks like in real life, not necessarily make it better. So I think that's pretty close to what it looks like in real life. And I'm going to hit OK. And then export. File, export as. Make sure it's a JPEG. Give it a new name and call it test2. And you don't need to retype .jpg because it will automatically put that there. I'm going to hit export. And again, check my quality, export. Cool. And I should be good to close this. Discard changes. Let me show you really fast. I think I'll show you now this one. This is how you would edit a 2D work that has like protrusions. So basically, if you needed to be flipped, you could flip it. Then you're going to want to do the perspective tool. And what I'm going to do is pretend that those flowers aren't there for a moment. So I'm going to fix any warping in the perspective first. It's not that bad. It's a little too big over here, actually. Actually, I probably should make that one more lined up. Maybe there. Now, perspective tool. And I'm just going to click and drag and make sure I fix my perspective. And sometimes as you pull one side, it might pull the other side, so you might have to kind of go back and forth a couple times. And that's okay. It's pretty good. This one's a little high, actually. Okay. Hit enter. Now the crop. This is tricky. The crop is really where you have to make some adjustments. So instead of cropping, now it's all straightened. So now all you need to do is crop it. But instead of cropping right this very center part out, you're going to crop a larger area. And I'm going to kind of like estimate. I want there to be a little space around everything. And I want it to be equal. So I don't want to feel like one side is like more lopsided. So something like that probably, where the entire protrusions are included. But yet it kind of makes it nice and centered, really clean. I think that looks pretty good. You kind of have to, again, use your best judgment. And then I'm going to go to colors, levels. And again, I'm just going to, pull these into where there's information. And then move this up and down until I feel like it looks like the original. And again, you're not necessarily trying to improve it. You always want it to look as close to the original as possible. So I'm going to say that that looks close and hit OK. And then if you wanted to, you could adjust other things. Like the color balance in this might be a little bit off. It might be a little too yellow. So I could reduce the yellow a little. Oops, I think I'm increasing the yellow. Reduce the yellow by going that way. There we go. And then I'm going to hit OK. And that looks, I would say, about right. File, export. I'm going to do 2 videos because I'm about out of time on my first video. So on the second video, I will show you guys how to do 3D images. So far on this one, I have only done 2D. So on this next video, I'll be showing you how to do 3D if you want to click to the next video. And I'm just going to export this, make sure it's nice and high quality, and hit export. Okay, and that's 3 different 2D artworks that I've now edited. I'll see you in the next video.